On Wednesday, ESPN reported that as of 5 o'clock, Carmelo Anthony officially became a free agent after clearing waivers following a buyout with the Atlanta Hawks. Anthony is expected to sign a one-year deal with the Houston Rockets, worth a veteran's minimum $2.4 million. So for more on the Houston Rockets this offseason, we welcome in Craig Ackerman, the team's TV and radio play-by-play broadcaster. Craig, the writing has been on the wall for weeks. What is it that Carmelo is going to bring to this team?
Well, you know, he's obviously someone the Rockets have chased several times over the last handful of years. When he was initially a free agent with New York, he came to Houston for a visit. Obviously, he ended up signing with the Knicks. All the stories last summer about the Rockets trying to acquire him again from the Knicks before he was ultimately sent to Oklahoma City. So Daryl Morey is, there's obviously something that he's seen in Carmelo Anthony that he thinks will fit with the Rockets and their style of play. And if he ultimately does sign with the Rockets here fairly soon, we'll ultimately get to see if this is something that can work out for this team this season, a team that was so close to toppling the Warriors a year ago.
Greg, so many people talk about the Rockets' defense last year, but if you look at Game 7, that Western Conference Final, they couldn't make it. Trevor Ariza especially couldn't make a shot when you needed one. How much of Carmelo's fit with the Rockets is about the fact that he's going to be a guy who can knock down shots, give him another offensive option to go with James Harden and Chris Paul?
You know, I certainly think that is part of it. I mean, Carmelo, I don't think anybody is mistaking the point that he did not have a very good year last year, and the fit with the Thunder was not necessarily a good one for him or the team. But, you know, he's still pretty good in the catch-and-shoot scenarios as a three-point shooter, and obviously the Rockets shoot more threes than any team in NBA history. He's still very effective as a pick-and-roll ball handler. A season ago, the Rockets turned what has historically been a very inefficient, ISO-heavy offense into the single most efficient offense, ISO-wise, in the history of the sport, with James Harden and Chris Paul running it. In fact, the Rockets had the best offensive rating in the league. So I certainly think offense is part of that. Everybody keeps talking about Olympic Melo, his ability to catch and shoot, spread the floor, knock down threes, and he's a guy who can play in isolation. And I think that the key for him with this team and working with the coaching staff is, can they and he make sure that he's in the most efficient spots on the floor to help himself and the team. And again, only time will tell if that will ultimately work out this season.
And you said it, Craig. Last season, the team was recognized as the team probably closest to dethroning the Warriors. Are they closer or further away after this offseason?
You know, as far as I'm concerned, it still is Golden State and everybody else. I mean, look, they were up 3-2 when Chris Paul went down with a hamstring injury. And everybody around here feels pretty strongly about the fact that if Chris did not get hurt, the Rockets, at minimum, are in the NBA Finals against the Cavaliers. But, look, he got hurt. It happened. They ended up, they were unable to hold on to a pair of double-digit leads in Game 6 and Game 7. Golden State went on to win the series. They went on to win another championship, and now they've added DeMarcus Cousins. And so I think everybody with the Rockets certainly respects the historic level of talent that Golden State has. But they're an organization that hasn't shied away from their obsession, if you will. As Daryl Morey mentioned prior to the start of last season, their obsession with chasing down Golden State. Again, they were very close. This is an organization that's willing to take a ton of risks. Does Carmelo fit with this team, fit that profile of taking a risk? I think so, but they're going to get him at the veteran's minimum. And again, we'll just kind of have to wait and see how this thing plays out. I think the James Ennis signing will certainly help with this team in terms of their defensive identity. I think that's where most of the question marks will ultimately be with Carmelo and the Rockets. How does he fit in with the team's defensive identity, which I think in large part helped them compete with Golden State a year ago because they had the personnel to switch everything. And will Carmelo be able to slide into that system and be effective in it? And again, I don't know, but again, he is a player the Rockets have wanted several times in the past handful of years. So there's something they see in him that they think will fit here. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it'll work out for the best.
Craig, with so much talk about the fit for Carmelo, do you think it was a risk at all, given Chris Paul the kind of contract they gave him, knowing his injury history, certainly last season and before with the Los Angeles Clippers? That seems like a long term to give a guy who you're not sure is going to be healthy season after season.
There's question marks with his health. Again, it's his hamstring, unfortunately, did not allow him to finish off that series last year, and it's been a problem for him in recent seasons. But I think part of the, the acquisition of Chris a year ago from the Clippers was that him opting into his deal, the Rockets could make him whole with another contract. There's always a risk with a huge contract like that with all players, especially older players like Chris. But he was terrific last year with this team. They feel like he has a ton of gas left in the tank. James Harden is smack dab in the middle of his prime, and so the Rockets are going to try to chase after this thing as long as James is in his prime. And if that means paying Chris Paul perhaps a little more money than that's palatable in the latter years of this contract, so be it. But they're going to continue to roll the dice and try to track down Golden State and win its title.
You guys can follow Craig's coverage of the Houston Rockets at CA_Rockets on Twitter, as well as back in the booth next season. Thanks, Craig.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
We shall. But first, Carmelo in Houston. How's he fit?
I think it's a great fit. I think the one thing the Rockets were missing was some real size in their scoring punch. James Harden, 6'5", Chris Paul, 6'1", Eric Gordon, who's their third option, is 6'3". Carmelo gives them a bigger guy that you can throw the ball to and get buckets. And if Carmelo wants to go down and play on the box, that's when he becomes really dangerous. The Olympic Melo Craig was talking about, that's really unguardable in this league because smaller guys can't handle him, and bigger guys, he can fake and go around you or pop and shoot from outside. He's going to be a nightmare for a lot of people.
He will.
Yeah, it's just, and I think it's really about Carmelo's attitude. Like, does he come in with the right frame of mind, right attitude to fit into that group? He makes them really dangerous.